Welcome to the Do It Anyway podcast. I am your host, Maria Redman, here to take you down all things fitness, nutrition, wellness, and everything in between. Welcome to this 29th episode, everyone. I just want to send a big heartfelt thank you to everyone that has been watching this podcast each and every single week and leaving all of your comments. I definitely appreciate you so very much. If you're new to the podcast, please be sure to, thank you for joining us. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone that you think it may help. You can also catch this episode on Spotify and all episodes on Spotify and Applecast. So with that, we are going to go into this wonderful episode on blood work. I think that in the fitness and wellness space, or just general health overall, no one's really getting any blood work done. And I know there's some of us in our 20s and we think we're invincible, but honestly, you really need to understand what is going on underneath the skin. And so I thought that this would just be a really good topic to discuss because as I talk to people and I ask them things like, when's the last time you had some blood work? They always give me that kind of deer in the headlights look like, why would I do that? And I'm like, because we should find out what's wrong. And you've been eating pizza every day, especially in your 20s in college, every day for almost 4 years, and then piling beer on top of that. We probably should see what's going on. So today's episode is all about blood work. Your blood work basically provides like a snapshot of what's going on with your overall health. And it looks at anything from, are you nutrient deficient? Are you dealing with any, sugar disorders? Is your A1C high or glucose too high? Do you have, good enough cholesterol or horrible cholesterol? Things of that nature. So this is where your blood work comes into play. You need this for preventative care. Knowing just some simple blood tests can really keep you away from showing signs of, finding out if you have signs of any type of heart disease or diabetes. So blood work is quite essential. It's also great, like let's say you get blood work 1 year and your cholesterol's high. Well, you make some changes in your nutrition and you start exercising, but how do you know if that marker has really improved if you don't go back to get subsequent testing so that you can see the results if you've made progress or not? Or did you make the problem worse? So you definitely want to get blood work to monitor any chronic conditions that you may have had. In addition to being able to optimize your health and performance. So with most athletes, what I find when we're doing our blood work, you have an athlete that presents to you that looks completely healthy and fine. But when you do vigorous exercise activity, whether it's bodybuilding, cycling, triathlon, any of that, because you're exercising so hard all the time and you're eating these very stringent nutritional protocols, you tend to create gut disruption, in addition to creating lots of muscle damage. There's a whole laundry list of things. High cortisol, you'll be surprised how high some cortisol is in athletes, things of that nature. So knowing what those numbers are can definitely, get your performance to become better. So athletes definitely need to go and get their blood work. And then sometimes, you have some people are suffering with different symptoms, chronic fatigue or, weight gain out of the blue when they're already eating quite well, hormonal imbalance, which is also another big one for athletes, especially bodybuilders. When you get below a certain level of body fat, your body does not like that because it's not meant to be shredded the way we do that. And it will throw your testosterone off, for ladies, your estrogen off. So it's good for, when you've got some symptoms going on, kind of really just trying to find out where the true issue is. So then with that being said, what tests do you take? So I want to go over some tests with you guys today and tell you what they are and why you should get them. So when you go to your doctor, let me say this first. I think a lot of people don't go get blood work because most are under the assumption that they're going to have to bug their doctor to go get this blood work. That is actually no longer a thing. You can go to a LabCorp or a Quest Labs or any of these other individual laboratories now to go get whatever blood work you want. You no longer need a prescription or to go see your primary care to get blood work if you want it. You can just go straight to these centers now and get these tests. So, listen back to this video or make some notes because I'm going to tell you what blood work you definitely need to be getting. So, at the top of the list, and what doctors typically do in basic panels is called your complete blood count, your CBC. With your CBC, it's going to test your red blood cells, white blood cells, your hemoglobin, your hematocrit, and your platelets. Basically, this is going to tell the doctor if you've got any type of infections, any type of anemia, inflammation, is your blood clotting properly, and if you have any issues with autoimmune disorders. So it'll definitely pick those up. So this is going to be any blood work you get, the doctor will always start with a CBC. And it's great. It definitely gives you a good start, but I think adding to it a basic metabolic panel is definitely going to be the next phase that you need to get. In the BMP, your basic metabolic panel, this one is going to cover a laundry list of things that are super duper important. Your electrolytes, your glucose, calcium, your kidney functions, and your blood urine, your blood urea nitrogen. These are all things that you need to really know. I would say, of course, your CBC is super important, right? But this next grouping is extremely, extremely important because you need to know if, you're suffering from dehydration. Is your body processing the electrolytes right? Do you have enough of them? Your sodium, magnesium, and potassium. Are your kidneys working well? And a lot of bodybuilders, they typically do not have good kidney function and liver function. And so if you think you look great and you don't, testing anything and all of a sudden your body just starts falling apart, without the blood work, you're just not going to know. So you definitely want to make sure that you're getting blood work. So now, on top of your basic metabolic panel, I personally feel like instead of getting the BMP, there's one step further, which goes to the CMP, which is your complete metabolic panel. So if you're going to go get blood work and you just want to get 2 sets, just some basic blood work, go with your complete blood cell count, your CBC, and then get a CMP, because the CMP has everything that the basic metabolic panel has plus liver function. And you definitely want to have, your liver function test look at. That's going to be ALT, AST, ALP, bilirubin, and albumin. And I know those are all big words, but these are all things that you need to definitely understand and know that you need to have tested. What that complete metabolic panel will help you understand is it gives you insight into your kidney and liver function, in addition to what your blood sugar is doing, and if you have good metabolic function. And if you're a person that's trying to lose body fat, or if you're an athlete, knowing these values are going to be really critical to how you perform or how well you are going to lose body fat. So these are your basic CBC and a CMP. That's your basic. That's what a doctor will they'll typically not even give you the CMP. They'll give you the BMP. But if you go to your doctor, you're a person that doesn't want to do it on your own, that's what you want to say that you want. Now, that test can run you anywhere from about $150 to as much as $300 at your doctor. And if you have insurance, then of course it's just your basic copay. If you're at LabCorp or Quest, the prices vary, so I don't want to quote you on that, but they're not very expensive is what I want to say. What I wish everyone would really add to these tests, and doctors do it sometimes depending on if you're presenting with certain symptoms, is they do a lipid panel. The lipid panel is going to test your good cholesterol, excuse me, your bad cholesterol and your triglycerides. Of course, that's extremely critical to figuring out your heart health, things of that nature. So, getting the lipid panel is definitely one that you want to add to the list of tests that you're going to do. I would not skip that. I mean, like I said, it's great for cardiovascular health and understanding where you're at with that. I mean, you can prevent yourself from having a stroke because if you've got bad cholesterol, and I mean, and it's through the roof and your overall triglycerides are super high, you might be headed towards a stroke. So, knowing these values are critical. If you are 40 and over, I really need that you guys to start taking your health more serious and start getting this done every single quarter, especially if you do not exercise much and if you don't eat well. And then on the flip side of that coin, if you are an extremely active person, you're an athlete, you also need to get these tests done because I'm telling you, a lot of us look like the pillar of health, and someone will just drop down and, go ahead and have unfortunately a heart attack. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, they were so happy. I mean, so healthy rather. But what happens in athletes is because of the stress and strain on the body and the raising of cortisol, it can back you right into building plaque in the body. So I won't get into that. That's real sciencey, but just know it can happen. So athletes, you need to know these numbers as well. Everyone does. Don't just keep going out here saying, oh, I look good. I feel good. I guess I'm all right. It does not work that way. This next set of tests, I really recommend for females to start getting around age 25 or after you've had a child. It's your thyroid panel. And you'll have doctors only test your TSH and your T4, and they kind of stop there. That is not enough. I want you ladies to start speaking up and advocating for yourself when you're getting these tests taken. You want to have your TSH, your free T3, your free T4, and your thyroid antibodies. It's very rare that doctors test the thyroid antibodies, and those antibodies can really tell the true tale of what the thyroid is doing in the body. Men, you can get this test too, but I find that men's thyroids tend to hold up a lot more than females, fortunately for you all. So I'm not opposed to saying maybe once a year getting that test for guys, but for my ladies, I would say have this test done at bare minimum twice a year. And being in the normal range, but at the low end of normal range is unacceptable. If you are getting blood work and your thyroid consistently every quarter is trending downwards, but you're still in the normal bracket, as they say, but you've been trending downwards, you're trending towards a problem. You're trending towards your thyroid no longer functioning. So, being at the top end of normal is where you want to be in all of these numbers to have a really good, healthy thyroid as you're aging. My ladies, 40, 50, 60, this is critical. If you are feeling tired, dry skin, brain fog, hair thinning, falling out, your hair is very brittle and dry, go and get your thyroid checked. There's probably an issue going on there. If you are doing things like eating really, really well and you have a true caloric restriction, like you are really tracking your food and you are training hard and you still can't lose a couple pounds, you need to go and get this panel of tests done to make sure that your thyroid is functioning because that's your metabolism, right? That is the key to the metabolism. So do not skip getting the thyroid panel done and make sure that they're doing all four tests on it. And I do want to say this, if it's really like, if those values come back and they're all just totally out of whack, excuse me, it's not a bad idea to ask for them to do an ultrasound on your thyroid to make sure that you don't have any nodules or cancer or anything like that, just to take that one step forward in, being precautionary and trying to figure out the root cause of what's going on with your thyroid. So that's what I really think that everyone should take there. The next one I think is a great test for males 35 and older, female, same thing, 35 and older. It's your hormone panel. Nothing happens in the body without testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone, in addition to DHEA for the ladies. So you want to make sure that everything is in the range. Now, for the guys, after age 35, your testosterone starts to drop off 5 to 10% every year thereafter. So you're eventually going to tank at some point. If you're a really healthy male and you train really hard, like you really weight train very hard, it's going to sustain for quite some time. But at some point, you have to know that you are going to, fall off a cliff. Only a small percentage of you all, unfortunately, are training really hard and are eating really well. Most of you, unfortunately, are not. So your testosterone is going to be pretty tanked. So if you are feeling overly emotional and you're having arguments with your significant other and she's unfortunately maybe saying some not nice things like, what is wrong with you? You're acting like a woman or whatever. If you're having this experience, you're also fatigued, your sexual performance is going down, like you can't keep an erection or maybe not even get an erection, you need to go ahead and have your testosterone and your other hormones looked at. And don't be ashamed in going to do this. It's known already that the testosterone starts to drop off, and there are, all types of remedy to bring this testosterone back to its normal levels, whether it's through medications or even taking testosterone replacement therapy. So know that there's help out there for that, and you don't have to go through feeling like that. Same thing for ladies. Ladies, your estrogen's going to start going all over the place because of perimenopause, or you're in that menopausal stage. You want to check that. Not having enough DHEA in the body can drive your testosterone and estrogen way down. DHEA is a very inexpensive supplement. Now, I want to say this. It is not FDA approved. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. I think they just won't approve it because they know it's super effective. I mean, I have put clients on it and tremendous change in blood work on DHEA. And when I tell you it's inexpensive, I'm talking about you can get like 100 pills of this stuff for like 20, 30 bucks. And it's a supplement, over the counter, natural. So DHEA, if you're low in it, only if you're low, don't go out and go get DHEA. You need to know what your blood values are first before you start taking it. But it's a very, very, very amazing supplement to take that can bring you back to homeostasis with your hormones. So that's just something I want to share there. The hormone panel also tests for cortisol. Now, cortisol is, you don't want high cortisol, but you do need your cortisol to raise at certain times. Cortisol is good for making muscle. So just know that you don't want something that's going to totally blunt out your cortisol. But knowing if you are walking around with chronically high cortisol is something that you need to know, because that is directly correlated to putting on belly fat. So get a test, know where your cortisol levels are, because that can help you figure out what you're going to do nutritionally, what you need to do to reduce stress in your life, etc. Things like that. I've seen people make small changes in stress in their life, bring their cortisol down, and then the body starts losing the body fat again, right? Their plan starts becoming more effective. They feel better with their exercises. So that's a test that you definitely want to get. Then this next one I think is super duper important in your hormone panel, your growth hormone, or your IGF-1. This assesses your growth and how your body repairs tissue. So for adults, we're already grown, right? But also in growing muscle. If you have low IGF-1, your growth hormone is low, your ability to recover, repair, grow muscle tissue is going to be almost non-existent. There are some people who don't take any type of steroid. Their growth hormone levels or IGF-1 is so good that they are just very able to put on muscle really quickly. Those people can get in really good shape with almost minimal, seems like minimal activity. So knowing that value and where you sit can help you make a lot of different decisions. Do you want to go on an IGF-1, supplement regimen to bring it up? That's something that's completely up to you, but at least knowing that value will help you understand what's going to happen if you're going to go on this, building muscle journey or a weight loss journey. You want to know all of that. So that's that panel. Now we get into some other things that kind of go into the functional health medicine portion of it. If you really want to know what vitamins to take, vitamins and minerals, doing a vitamin and mineral panel is going to be critical. And honestly, I would really like to say if you're going to go on a true journey, like you're really committed and you did like what I did, you say, okay, I'm going to try to get in the best shape I can get to in a year of my life. That means you're going to need all things in your body, all the cylinders ticking optimally, right? Getting this vitamin and mineral panel is going to be critical because you want to make sure that you have enough vitamin D, B12, folate, iron, magnesium, zinc, calcium, etc., etc. You're going to want to know where those values are so that you can understand if you need to supplement with these things to make your performance on this journey that you're going on just that much better. And I know it sounds like there's just so much to take, but it really depends on where you'd like your body to be. If you want to be optimal, you need to know these values. So that's what your vitamin and mineral panel will test. Again, forget just the weight loss or body fat loss aspect of it or building muscle aspect of it. Knowing these values will help you figure out why you might be having low energy, your bone health, like, are you suffering with osteoporosis or osteopenia? If your immune system's even functioning, and your basic overall wellness. So just knowing where your vitamins and mineral panel sits is actually really critical. And this test is almost never done by your primary care. I'll just tell you that right now. That's why I say I'm more on the functional medicine side. But again, you can request to have it done. I'm not saying your doctor won't do it, but if you don't know and you don't ask, they just won't do it. So that's one you want to ask for. This next one is, excuse me, important for everyone, but definitely athletes. Understanding your inflammatory markers. It measures something in your body called your C-reactive proteins, your electrolytes, and your sedimentation rate, your ESRs. These indicate if you have systemic inflammation. Systemic inflammation leads to chronic disease in the body and sometimes chronic injury. So your C-reactive protein, knowing that is huge. Also, this is a very good test to really find out what your cardiovascular function is doing if you're building plaque. So athletes that are taking high amounts of steroids, you need to be getting this test done, period. Or as they say in the streets, period. You need to have this test done. Excuse me. I do not see enough bodybuilders, male and female, requesting this test. It's being skipped. And when we lose a bodybuilder to heart attacks, I'm pretty sure when their autopsies come, their hearts were just done from the plaque buildup. So making sure that you're getting a C-reactive protein test for inflammatory markers are huge. The next test, knowing where your, blood insulin level sits, your fasting glucose. Let me say this. All of these tests you should show up for fasted, period. Do not show up fed. If you do, you should just scrap that and do it all over again. Show up fasted. So for your blood sugar, you want to test your fasting glucose, your hemoglobin, and your A1C. and you're fasting insulin as well. This will tell you if you've got insulin sensitivity, how well your blood sugar is able to be controlled. If you are fasted and you wake up in the morning and you go get like a little cheap finger prick, this is another way to do it without going to get the test. You can go get a little, diabetic finger pricker at Walmart. I think there's a $20 one. Prick your finger. If you're fasting blood glucose in the morning before any food is over 99, you might have some issues going on. So you really need to start monitoring that. It should be below 99 if you've been fasting for a long time. So all night long, it should be low. So that's a way to kind of cheat that one for the blood test, but you should definitely know what's going on there and know also if you have insulin sensitivity, because understanding that will be the difference between are you diabetic or pre-diabetic. If you're pre-diabetic, there's, definitely some things you can do to start to turn that around. And if you're diabetic, well, then you need to have a whole different ball game and you need to really figure out what you're going to do there. So that's one that you need to definitely take. Next is kidney function test. Now, this typically will come out in your complete, metabolic panel above. So you don't really need to get like a separate one, to be quite honest. It's already going to be taken care of. And the liver function test, you can do it separately, but if you just do a complete metabolic, you'll get the liver function test as well. With your liver function, I want to talk a little bit about some of the tests that they do in there. There's one called your ALT. This is your ALT is an enzyme that's found in your liver. And it helps, it's really important because this is what helps convert protein into energy in the liver cells. So if you're really trying to get into fitness and you're really trying to go hard at this, knowing where that liver function value is going to be critical. High levels of, ALT indicate that you have some type of cell damage. Anything can cause it. Hepatitis can cause it, fatty liver disease, side effects from different medications. So that's a big one. If you take a lot of medications, knowing where this liver value sits is also extremely important because, you want to make sure that your proteins are converting into energy, and that directly does that. Then you have your AST test. And this is also an enzyme found in your liver, in your heart, muscles, and a few other tissues that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But elevated, this plays a role in how you metabolize amino acids. So again, it directly goes back to, muscle building, fat loss, overall body function. Your AST is extremely important to know this value. If it's elevated, you might have some liver damage. And since it's already, it's found in other tissues, you might have some heart disease going on there too. So this is kind of like a liver and a heart function. It can kind of double a little bit, that enzyme does. So knowing that value is really, really important. And then your alkaline phosphate, your ALP. This is another enzyme. It's found in your liver, your bile ducts, and your bones. This breaks down protein for bone development. So that's common sense. You can see why you'd want to make sure that you get this test in. I couldn't imagine like not really knowing what's going on. High levels of LP can, mean that you have like some type of a disease in the bone, or maybe even something as simple as an obstruction in your liver, because that can happen if the liver ducts get clogged. So knowing what's going on there. Now, I think everyone's heard of bile. It's that yellowish goo that's in the body. Sometimes if you vomit too much and you have nothing less, you'll vomit bile up. This produces during the breakdown actually of red blood cells. So it's crazy that it's yellow and not red, but that's where it comes from. And the liver processes this in the bilirubin and excretes it as bile, that yellowish flavor goo that you see. If it's elevated, this can cause jaundice, and this is where you kind of have this yellowish hue to your bodies, and you'd see it a lot in some people's eyes. If you ever talk to someone, their eyes have that yellowish hue, that's jaundice. They probably have some poor liver function going on, and they just don't know it. They just think that they have a yellow hue to their eyes, and maybe I need to sleep more. I've definitely heard that before, and I'm like, nope, you're jaundiced. You probably should go see a doctor. Um, and this can also be a sign of a form of anemia. I forget the appropriate name for it. It's hemo something, but there's a type of anemia that happens with that as well. So if you've got yellowish eyes or yellowish tinge to your skin that you've noticed over time, that's directly liver function issues, and you definitely want to go and get your liver tested and see what's going on there. Do not sit around and wait. That's definitely not one you want to play with. Then you've got your GGT, your gamma glutathione it's a long word. So your GGT, it's another enzyme. It's also found in the bile ducts, and this one takes molecules and transport them throughout the liver, and it plays a role in detoxification of the liver. So as you can see, this is a very, very important enzyme that's in the liver and the bile ducts. It indicates if you've got high levels, clearly it's not working. You're not getting that detoxification that the liver and the bile ducts need. And you definitely have a problem going on. A lot of people who have that are alcoholics tend to present with higher levels of GGT, which then can go on to sclerosis of the liver, which is a hardening of the liver. So knowing this value also is really, really key. I have seen some people, though, with autoimmune disorders with high levels of GGT that don't, drink and don't really present with a bile duct issue after looking at other tests. So I just want to kind of throw that one out there because it's one of those tests that kind of could throw a little bit of a loop in the game plan. Once you figure out what's going on with it, you can get it back to par, but it's definitely that GGT can kind of indicate quite a few things in the body. So with all of these tests combined, and I know I went over a crap ton of them, it's hard to say, for me to sit here and say which one in particular should you get. I know for sure your CBC, your CMP with liver function is going to be like your critical ones. If you're an athlete or someone going on this really huge fitness journey, I think you should get all of them. I think that they're all important. And if everyone can afford to get all of them, then you should. But maybe at least getting them in pieces. So, 1/4 you get your main blood work, and then second quarter you get maybe a taste of the other things. And then you swap. Third quarter you go back to the main so you can see if you're trending. And then last quarter you go back to the second set so you can see where you're trending. That's really what I would suggest to anyone trying to really kind of track your health. We step on scales, and use that as like a marker of health, but honestly, guys, that the scale means almost absolutely nothing. It does not tell you what is happening underneath the hood at all. I mean, you have to get your blood work done. Do what you can. If you can't really afford a lot, start with just the basic CBC. See what's going on there, because if there's anything else wrong in the body, your CBC is more than likely going to pick up some small markers of something's happening. We don't know, but then at that point, your practitioner can at least say, okay, this is high here. We need to do maybe this set of tests to figure out why this value is high. So, if you don't have a lot, start there. But I really, really implore each and every one of you to go and get blood work. And if you are an athlete that is taking any type of super supplements, i.e. steroids, you need to go and do a blood dump every 8 to 16 weeks for sure. Your hemoglobin's going to be through the roof. You're going to be building too much red blood cells, and you need to go donate blood. And yes, you can donate blood if you are a person that takes steroids. It's absolutely fine. But what's going to happen if you don't is your blood is going to continue to get thicker and thicker like oil and become sludge in the body. I don't even need to say more because common sense should tell you sludge for blood is just not going to work. Your blood oxygenates the brain, it moves everything through the body. So you need your blood to be fluid. So if you are doing any type of steroids and you've been doing it for a long time and you have not gone to do a blood dump, just go find one of the big red buses that are all over everyone's town in every city and state, for the most part, Red Cross, and just go donate the blood. There's you don't have to worry about the questions being asked. Let me say this. There are a few places that are pretty sticky about it. I've heard stories, but they only know what you tell them, right? So just answer yay, no, whatever to the questions and just go do the blood dump because you have to get it out. And if you just don't want to do it there, then you're going to have to present to your, primary care provider, and you're going to need to do that. You can have a heart attack, you can have a stroke. There's so many things that can happen that can go wrong. So do not put yourself in that position when you can go just donate the blood. Trust me on that. You need to. So with that, I'm going to close out this episode 29 of the Do It Anyway podcast. Go do it anyway. Go get that blood work done so that you can know what you're going to do on your, health journey. You can plan your nutrition appropriately to this as well. So do not skimp on it. Go get your blood work. And with that, I will see you all next week. Peace.